All right, welcome back. We are WEBD6201 in the winter 2021 semester, and it is week 7, part 3 of our broadcast, and we're talking here about lab 3 details. So, lab 3 details. Let's go into our lab 3 and see what that looks like. It's not this, but actually it is this. So, if you look at your content area, you should see now that in week 7, there is a lab 3 area. It includes the lab 3 submission box as well as the details and the starter. Let's take a look at the details. So the details look like this. This is due week 9, Sunday, March 21st, 2021 at midnight. The value is 15%. And I call this fun with Ajax. You might not. What this is basically a exercise in using the single page application. You'll be using the same structure that I've asked you to put together in the past. So similar to what we did in class exercise 6, which is I think what we did today during this broadcast, right? So that's what we did. We kind of had this structure. Now, if you just use the structure, you get 2 marks. If you had to remake this by yourself and start from scratch, then you won't get these marks. It's up to you, or unless you have to redo this on your own. I've also included a Tasklist.html, which kind of gives you something that looks like this. Right now, it's not functional, and it's included in your files. What you need to do is convert the task list page to something that is compatible with a single page application. Let's take a look at the starter. So here's the starter. Notice that there is a tasklist.html page that I've included for your use. So nothing for you to create here. You don't have to make the task list page. As an example, let's run it. So we see what we got. So if I go to light-server, then you're going to see that right now. By the way, I fixed the navigation here. You can see that right now we have everything as it was before with our single page application. All right, so we can see that same stuff comes up right now. We have our contact list and whatever, but we also have a task list, but the task list is an HTML page, and task list, I should say task list, if I'm okay. Task list.html looks like this. It's not linked to anything, and these things are actual links. So if I click on any one of those things, it'll fail. Why? Because this is using the old style multi-page application. We want you to make it so that it's the new style, the single page application. None of these links work right now in the starter. Okay, none of them work. However, I have enabled a lot of this to work for you. So if you look inside the scripts folder, there is an app.js, just like before. All the same stuff we talked about today, the same kind of content in terms of start and so on. And if you scroll up, I've included 2 functions, a display task list, as well as an add new task list function. So both of those 2 task lists are there, or those functions for the task list, right? So right now they won't function because you need to incorporate the task list page and make it into a page that works with a single page application. But the code is there. All right, so that's the code. So what I need you to do is, if you follow down in this page here, it says single page application with Ajax, task list page. Convert the task list page to a content page. You need to add the task list page to the routing table. We talked about it in router.js. You need to ensure that the task list page is associated with an appropriate callback function, as an example, and the callback function would be the display task list that I just showed you. We need to make sure that task list security is operational and that you can only access the task list when the user is logged in. And then finally, we need to have a task list page on the navigation, main navigation. And it should be basically only showing when the user is logged in. So that is the functionality, and the rest, your internal documentation, your GitHub, your cloud provider, you're going to make this live like the last requirement, and your short video are all the same. So there's no difference in requirements here. what should the final look like? Well, let's drag and drop the final in here and see what I see. So again, notice that there is no task list here, but what does it look like when I run the page? So if I go light server now, right, and I log in, this is what the your final output should look like. So if I go admin and enter, I get this, and now I have both the contact list and a task list page, right? If I click on the task list, there it is, it comes up. And the way the functionality works is if I add in a task, let's say, for example, I want to go shopping, right? And if I press enter, it'll add, a list to the shopping list, right? So this is the task list. I can delete tasks by clicking delete. And one thing to note that this is dynamically generated, so it's a bit of learning for you guys too. I'm not using session storage or local storage. For example, if I go back to the contact list, this isn't touched. And session storage, if we take a look at that, so let's take a look at the application page. So if I go to application, notice that session storage is the same and local storage is also there, so nothing has been touched there. So how the heck is the task list being worked? Well, take a look, see how that disappeared? It's not maintaining state between clicks, but it doesn't matter. The functionality is something that looks like this. If I put hello, I can add a little task, I can delete tasks, and this is while the page is active, while the content is still there. There is no page. Remember, there's only one page, just the index page. All right, so that's how the task list will work, right? It'll also give you errors. If I press enter, it'll say invalid task if there's nothing in there. Also, if I add a new task and I put nothing in there, it'll give me an invalid task. If I press the space and enter, it'll give me no, it won't allow that to start with the space. Even if I put space and Tom, it won't allow that. It'll say there's a problem, right? So some simple validation that's been put in here for the task list. But if I type in something reasonable, as an example, it'll totally work. So that is the functionality. That's how your task list should work. And it's not really on you to make this functional. This is already functional. All you need to do is incorporate it into the single page application, which I think is quite simple. And if you notice here that it will slip in right next to the contact list, somewhere in here is where I'm thinking. So it only shows up when you're logged in. If I log out, the task list is gone. And if I try and put in task list, right? So task.list, put that in there, it should take me back to the login page. So it shouldn't allow that to happen, just like the contact list. If I go to the contact list, just like we did today in class, if I do this, it'll take me back to the login page. It won't allow me to view it or stay on that page as an example unless I'm logged in. Again, a little bit, twitchy in terms of the way it works. We're going to improve on this next week when we move into Node.js as we start moving into the back end. But this really is what I'm asking you to do for your lab 3. And the details, like we said, are right here. One great thing about this is, again, you have a couple weeks to get this done. I think it's fairly straightforward. This should actually say 100 marks. And so on. It's fairly straightforward to do. I don't think it's an issue for you guys to take care of. So again, if you have any questions around this, guys, this recording is strictly to give you details on how to do lab 3. Otherwise, that's it for me. I'll see you guys next week. Good luck on your lab 2, which has been extended to Sunday at midnight. Take care.